All right, jumping into part 3 of how to animate in Unreal Engine. So in this part, we're going to be adding in another character to go ahead and have opposite our main character. So we have our combo here, looking pretty good. And what I'm going to do to switch over is I want to get in another character. So I'm going to go into our control rig, characters, mannequins, rigs, and I'm just going to add in a new control rig. I'm just going to click and drag right into the scene. All right, so we have our second character here. So from here, I'm going to start to pose him just opposite our character. And we can start posing him here. Now, I do want to see if I can change his color to something different. You guys don't have to do this, but for me, it's a little bit easier to just change the color so that way it just kind of a little bit different. Now let's go back. So I'm pretty sure the red is a contrast. Maybe I can do it to a blue. Change into like a blue color, save, and then change this to a blue color. That should be fine. So it doesn't clash with the background. That looks good. I'm okay with that. All right. So the first pose is just going to be an opposite fighting pose. So very similar to what we have here already. Get that fighting stance out. I'm sure there's also a way for us to maybe copy the poses over. That'd be something that'd be kind of cool to look into. But it's not that complicated of a pose, so I don't mind building it out. So to reiterate, just in case if while I'm working on this, I know a couple of you guys have mentioned, or a few of you guys really mentioned in the comments, if this is more preferable than just animating in Maya or Blender. And I still think that animating in Maya or Blender and switching it over is a little bit easier, just due to all the animation tools that are presenting to it. But I do find this pretty cool to learn, just to start getting yourself familiar with the program. Because if Unreal or Epic is going through this much lengths to try to make their program kind of like a one-stop shop to, to animate or create models or textures and everything from the ground up and not necessarily have a need to go to other programs, then just learning some of the early pioneer tools would be cool to learn in that way. Once it does continue to develop, you're able to kind of just learn some of the new tools and not necessarily having to start from the beginning. So kind of, being an early onsetter, I think is pretty cool. And if they do make any, new changes, that makes it a little easier, we can revisit making another scene and see exactly how we can use some of those new changes in order to make our fight seem a little bit better. All right. So getting this in, and now that I'm using local space and not world space, getting to this pose is actually not as bad. But I know also, which is also pretty popular, is that in the beginning video for the control rig, I believe, demo video, I used, there was a clip there where they had a slider that went to change from their an open fist to a closed fist, which a lot of you guys was pretty popular. A lot of you guys felt that. I'm like, okay, we need to figure out that right away. And I've looked inside some of the controls and I haven't necessarily seen it. Even I'm just checking through the two control rigs, and these are the only two that are here, and this is the more basic looking one, so this is not going to have it. So I'm using even the more complicated one, and I don't necessarily see it there. So I'll keep looking, and I'll keep looking at some documentation and see exactly if there's a way to turn it on. Like even some of you guys in the comments told me about the local space, or even told me how to switch from IK to FK, so it may be hidden here that I would have to look for, but finding that slider would be cool. See if we can customize it, make custom shapes. Be pretty good. All right, we're almost finished here. So looking good. All right, now let's just go ahead and bounce him out. I think he looks good from this side, but we need to make sure he looks good, from all angles. So we're not really too sure where the camera's gonna be, so we want to make sure that that balance is good. Okay. Good. All right. So I think this is pretty good. So to make sure that we have all of our keys here, this is going to be on the next character. So this is going to be, control rig mannequin body, and then control rig mannequin body 2. That seems a little bit. Can we see if we can rename it? And let's call it Hello Control Rig. And we'll even rename this one as well and just call him Gray Control Rig. Perfect. So that way it's a little bit easier to see. Yeah, that's fine. And since we have our blue control rig, we want to make sure that we have all of the keys set, so that way it's set into place. So now we're looking for our first punch, our first hit, which is happening on frame 7. Right, so it's happening on frame 7. So we want to have our first response to that pose. So our first pose is going to be a block. I'm going to go ahead and block this pose. Bend in, nothing too complicated, bending in, kind of curving into it. Gotta curve into it here. And it's looking good, looking like a, now I can see the move, it was looking like a Power Ranger spider or something like that. You know, which is not bad, you know. But it is looking pretty cool, at least from this end. So bring this back in. And right now we gotta move this around here. Bring this back. They bring in the end. A little bit of shift here. Oh, let's open this up. Okay, so now his body's kind of a little bit faced in. So I'm gonna rotate the body just a little bit more. Maybe bring it just a bit back. So it feels more like the block is intentional. Good. So that looks a lot better. Much quicker to set this pose up. And now we have it still in the regular tangent. So we're going to highlight all the keys just to make sure. Okay, go into here. I didn't have to highlight the keys. That's fine. Just click all of this here and switch to this. And that way it goes into the same pose. All right. So the next pose we have to block for. So I didn't choose one here yet. I don't think once we start animating, I don't know if I want to put in an actual pose here. So I think the key pose here is a little bit more important because he's just going to start to react to the anticipation of this pose. So I think having the key pose here is a little bit better, where we can probably adjust for one of the poses here. So now that we have that, now we're going to the next pose. Okay. So the next pose is going to be a duck. So it's a block here, block and duck. So we're going to duck here. So to get ready for the duck, even though we didn't have an anticipation pose here, I am going to put one here. It's frame 13, I believe, right? Good. So we're going to come back and almost prep ourselves to maybe attack. But once we see that the move is coming, we want to get out the way to duck. So We kind of want to lean into, well, let's lean, oh, not again. We're going to lean toward the opposite way. And have his face down here. Angled up. Bringing this here. Right, we have this here. We kind of have a nice solid pose. Right, and then we're gonna go for the duck. Okay, so the duck here, it's gonna be more of an exaggerated duck. You know, where while we're animating, we want to follow more of a movie magic type of fighting. At least that's the exaggerated motion that I follow, because it's a little bit more clearer to the audience than maybe like a quick slip. But again, when you're making your animation, you're able to do it exactly the way you would like it. So here, out. Keep our holes here. Just in case, bend a little bit. I'm just kind of giving him a little bit of curve on the spine. That way, kind of not crazy about this arm. I kind of want us to have his arms up a bit. At least for the pose. They may be still looking at his opponent. I think that looks good. Slim still has his balance, still in control. Right, so we're getting a real boxer type of protecting your face, a little exaggerated. And this is what I mean by poses. So when you really guys are animating and you can see there's no motion, there's no, overlapping action or anything fancy at the definitely no camera. But you can see just from the poses, you can just tell and feel the flow of the combat, exactly how it's supposed to go. So there's no camera shake, no funny business, nothing like that. Just a tracking camera so I can see everything. But even if you want to go by here, it really gives that look of this is clear. This is a clear punch, clear pose, clear dodge. There's a clear dodge, a lot space for you to really register exactly what's going on. So from the next part, right, from here, we have this block here. So this block should be interesting because I'm going to move them a little bit closer than our reference, but we're going to try to see if we can pull it off. So I'm going to block the punt, the kick first, and then I'm going to go back to the anticipation pose. So it's locking our poses here just in case. And here we're going to open up. And let's set our feet right before we move to the arms. We're going to move our feet back just a bit. So I feel like we're going to need the space. And shot. Here we go. Getting our kick here. Bringing his arm just a little bit more down. Or right. So that should be good here. And then for the kick, I'm going to switch to the IK pose. So we're going to click on here, go to anim details. So this is the right leg switch, and click this. I'm not clicking the right one. Nope, I did not click the right one. So switch that back. Let's go to the correct one. And how I know is gray and blue. So it gave us a different in the box the name that we went ahead and changed it to. So on the right leg switch, uncheck here. So that way it switches over to our IK switch. And bring this up. But I want to here a little bit. Switch over, maybe bend a bit, and really give a feeling to this kick. And I feel like I'm still gonna have to move back a bit just for this to be realistic. And how I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna click this and the foot control and just move back. It's so different. Interesting. So let's do this. Let's move this way. Hold this behind. For a rotate, bring it back some. That should still kind of be good. It's a little exaggerated still, but we adjusted the pose enough where it didn't seem so bad. And if the kick is here, we alter the, right, because this is going to be our kick motion. But if we alter this pulse here, that should be good. Just keep the arm. Kind of back there a little bit. I think it looks good. I think this is good now. This is looking good. And we keep this arm up, outward a little bit. And that's a good pose there. Probably a good thumbnail pose, right? So keep that there. Let's lock that pose in. And then we'll look at it. So from here, we moved back. Now it doesn't seem so bad, but we're gonna have to justify coming up here instead of coming up here for a kick, for a high kick. So we're gonna need a nice little pose for that. So let's see. So from here, on the ready pose, we're gonna come up, but we're gonna start the anticipation for it, because we also want to give the other, the gray robot character enough time to really understand, oh, this guy really gonna try a kick right in front of my face, you know? So bring this down, up, back, up over the head, but we're going to lean back just to show that we're trying to get our momentum off of our right leg. Off of our right leg and onto our left. So we're shifting that momentum here. Let's bring the shoulders up some more to kind of draw some power. Looking good. Okay. I think this looks all right. I would want this to be a little more loose. And then this needs to really feel like this is about to come up. There we go. So that gives a much more of a, I'm really about to kick you right now type of pose, right? Now, I don't know if that timing might be a little, that's quick. So let's adjust our timing. So now that we have this kick here, let's adjust our timing so it's a little bit easier. Let's see. See. So from here, we already adjusted this timing, right? Because this is 7 frames. And then we from here on to 5. So let's bring this down. Let's see, this is not even here, this is here. Okay, so let's line up our frames, make sure I'm on the same page, and let's make this one just a bit faster. Right here. Let's see how this feels. I think that actually feels a lot better because we're going to give time here, make this shorter. And do you want to add one more frame? Let's try this. That looks better. That feels better. Not much, not major changes, but I wanted to give more time here for him to come up for this kick. This kick I don't want to take too long. But I wanted to give time here. So this would be quicker. So I made this one shorter to extend this time here. So this is going to 16 to 22. So now this is, I believe, what's that? 7 frames in between. And then we went back to our, just a couple more frames here. So 5. I think the make that shorter, make that 4. Well, it doesn't seem like much. These things make the difference. 25 might be too quick. Let's try it out first. It looks better because it comes together, but I think it's a little too quick. Let's do 26. And we'll feel a little bit more realistic, or a little bit better, and not so harsh. So we'll adjust to see, to see if we're gonna need those for the remaining punches. But I think for this works good. Okay, so let's go ahead and our last couple poses. So from here, we're looking for him to recover. So to step down, curious to see what happens if I let's delete this pose, see if it works the same way. It's my first time trying this. Save myself some time here. All right. Perfect. So I was able to duplicate the pose. It obviously duplicated right in the same position, but I'm just going to move the character back to where it should fit. So if we, right, because he's stepping back. So now the only thing I'd probably change here is gonna switch the legs, because what happens is, if you see, this leg is forward and then the other leg comes back down behind, which if you're after your kick, you're most likely going to bring either you might bring that foot just down. But if you're reversing your stance, you're gonna want to bring that foot behind you, which is gonna reverse your stance. If you're gonna keep that foot in front of you, you're gonna keep this stance, which is facing this chest towards me. You're not necessarily gonna do this. You could, but in order to just kind of make it flow a little bit better, I'm gonna have his leg come down and bring it to the back while this leg kind of stays in position, so that the body swing makes a little bit more sense, especially if he's gonna come to see this pose here and want to block it. I think it's gonna be easier if the foot that's already planted on the ground is the foot that you want to rely on for your weight, instead of switching your feet and then trying to block this out. Think that would be the most accurate. If any of them mumbo jumbo actually made sense. So all of that just to switch his speed, that's all I really did. But at least now when he steps down ready, and then we're gonna move this foot maybe a little bit back. Oh, keys on the wrong frame. Not good. Let's start that over. Yep, keys on the wrong frame. All right. Yeah, so if you see it here, this leg now, when in motion, should swing back. So then it brings his arms up instead of the switch. So it's a one move like this. And I probably won't even have his arms up yet. I'd probably, especially if he's coming from this pose, maybe this arm is kind of there, kind of getting ready for that pose, and this arm is almost there. So it's like it's getting ready for it. There you go. Much better. And that's a good anticipation pose. To then hit to the next move is from here. Now it looks good, but it's a connect. It's not that far of a reach, but we're going to sell it by hitting it with the boxer dodge, but we're going to make it a much more dramatic and cool. All right, vibrate it here and switching that back, bringing the arm all the way down and really making it look effortless. So he's gonna go for this cool for school, just mean dodge. Just to get that out of here. Right, now look at that. And I always run it back, but I think it looks cool in So thing looks good. So from here, dodge. Now I feel like we probably can make it just a bit. I feel like it's a bit too far away. So let's do this. Because I have to move it on both frames. Let's move it here. Oh. Right. That's a better looking dodge. So from here, we're just moved up a little. Don't know why it's not clicking at all. There you go. Okay. Okay. It does not want to be clicked. Okay, we're just going to bend just a bit. Alright, I should still not break the illusion for the leg. That way this feels like it will connect a lot better. Okay. I think that looks better. Alright. Let's move on to our last pose and then do the anticipation. Something like doing that. It's like doing the pose, then the anticipation, and then, you know, because you can kind of get an idea like, okay, well, if I'm at this pose, it's in the anticipation, let's move to the next key pose. How would I block that? And then try to see how can I sell it, right? So from here, since going right for the chest here, we're going to make sure that we kind of have that locked in. There's a little bit of tripping going on here, so let's move this. Oh, let's move the other leg backwards. Oh. Just plunk up and move this in. And we're going to have to move back anyway to get this in. Okay, good. And we're probably going to have to adjust the camera, of course, just to get it to look pretty good. Here. Well, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to fix the angle. All right, rotate it so it feels more solid. This looks good. This is good. All right. So this is getting up a little bit more the solid foundation, just so the curves look good. So I'm going to curve in. Just bring the arms in into a nice looking Dragon Ball Z type of block pose here. Let's see, let's bring this in, arms up, Good. Kind of like. So I think this is looking good. Let's bring this back a little bit. So now that we lock this, we have this pose here. We have one more pose, one last pose, and it's kind of our anticipation pose here. And we kind of want to make it a little give it a little bit of style. So we anticipate this block. Right, so we're doing here, but we're moving this leg. So kind of, oh, that's not the right one. Great, so once we have this here, kind of bring this back some. Okay. Think this looks good. So let's lock this pose in place. And then if we were to bring it here to about 50, and let's play it. Boop. We got we missed something here. All right, we got a pose here that doesn't belong. We got a pose here. Let's just go ahead and delete this pose. All right, much better. I'm not sure what happened there. Sure, I think I copied the pose and then there we go. So we added our remaining poses to our other character. And now you can already see the flow of it, right? I think for this last pose, even I know where think the same idea here. One kind of extend this pose and kind of make this one. That is way too quick. Let's move this whole thing here. Move this whole thing down one. It's snapping. No. Okay, let's try that. 4, 5, 6. I'll do all right. Why not? Now let's give it a shot. So I want to get that feeling of quickness, so that it can stay there longer. Let's try this. And once we have this, yeah. It feels good. Takes a little long, slightly long. I know I'm being super meticulous about the timing for this, but I want it just to flow a little bit. And then once we start getting into polishing, which is going to be the next video, probably just let this go. Then we can really get into how it's going to go and how it's really going to feel once we have the animation set in. All right. Next video, we'll go on to polishing. I'll see you guys in the next one.